Alright, so the first exercise we have, and what I view as most important, is legatos. This should be the first thing in your packet. It's the one we're probably going to play the most, and it is essential for learning the basic technique of the legato stroke, which is what we use in almost all of our playing. So before we jump into the exercise, we're going to go over what that legato stroke is, in case you guys forgot. When we play legato stroke for legatos, most of the time we're going to be up at 15 inches or vertical when we're playing, and we're going to attack from there and basically have our stick there the whole time. The whole point of legatos and this exercise and this whole stroke is to get rebound from the drum. And what we mean by that is when we attack from 15 inches, we should be putting a lot of force and velocity to make the beat of the stick go extremely fast into the drum head and use the natural sort of like bounciness from the head to propel the stick back up to 15 inches. An example of this would be that. So what I did there was I used the muscles in the lower part of my arm, the sticky hit muscles, to put a lot of force into the stick going down, and right about here, right before it hit the head, I relaxed all of my muscles so that the stick would just hit the head and naturally come back up. This is very important that you learn this technique early, because if you don't, you're going to just play horribly the entire season and it doesn't sound very good. So the tendency for this exercise is to think you're playing it correctly, getting that full stroke we call it, or legato stroke. But what a lot of people are doing, especially a lot of you new guys, is going to be coming down, hitting the, sorry, that was my lamp. Coming down, hitting the drum head, keeping the stick there, and then lifting it back up with your arm. You don't want to be using these muscles except for your initial putting your sticks up to vertical position, because there's just no need to. It's a lot of extra energy to bring a stick down and then use the muscles to get it back up, when you could simply just relax and get the same result, which uses less energy with more precision. So you'll be more in time, it'll sound better, and it's just, that's what we want to aim for with the legato stroke. An easy way to tell the difference, I think, is that if you're sort of slamming down, you get this harsh sound from your pad, but if you're playing it correctly, you can sort of like hear a, maybe, I guess you would call it a brighter sound coming from the pad as the stick is able to resonate more freely with it. So that's how we do the legato stroke. And when you guys are practicing this, I want you to take time before you go into the exercise just to sit down and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Some variation of that, just to make sure you're getting that stroke down, because you don't want to go into this exercise playing the wrong technique the whole time, because that won't build anything good. Alright, so let's move into the exercise. It should be the same unison for all three parts, except the bass drums, you have the split part. We'll worry about split parts later. For now, we're just going to play the entire thing unison. So we have our first measure is a measure of eighth notes on the right. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright. And second measure is a measure of eighth notes on the left. Also, again, both of these are at 15 inches. The entire exercise is going to be at 15 inches. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright. And then we have 16 on the right hand. So 8, 8, 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and blah, blah, blah. I just usually count it out. Then you do the exact same thing reverse. So we have 8, 8, 16, and we have 8, 8, 16. So 1, 2. Alright, and to finish it off, we have 2 bars of 16th notes. Alright. So, some things you want to be thinking while playing this is your hand-to-hand transfers. That means, for instance, when you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, you want to make sure that that last note is going down, not rebounding back up because we're not playing another note on the hand, going down, as the other one's coming up. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and then continuing that. And the most important parts of this entire exercise are going to be the 4 beats for transitioning from hand to hand. So 4 and 1 and, because those beats are what establish the tempo on each hand. And if we crush those or open those up too much, it'll be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and that just sounds not good at all. Because legatos, we have to keep them in time perfectly, because that's what we're basically building the rest of the music and everything we do this year on. So in your head, every time we're playing this, you should actually be mentally going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. And if you do that, I swear that will improve everything really, really easily. Some more things to do while playing these: do not slow down on the long 16s, long 16 beats. There's a tendency that when you have like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you'll get slow because you're doing more work. But that's not what we want to do. Make sure you're just sort of like keeping it in your head every time. When you're marking time, you sort of like slam your foot in, find a place where you can keep the beat in your head. The other thing is going to be when playing these, a lot of people are going to want to open their fingers and do sort of either this motion or a whipping motion while playing that. And that's not what we want to do. When we're playing this whole exercise, we want everything to just be sort of a combination of about 95% wrist and about 5% of the arm coming up naturally with the wrist. Just like that, no this part coming up first, no fingers opening up, it's all wrist turn. Because just turning that wrist, not using your fingers or anything, that's what builds chops, builds muscle. Alright, one more thing before I start getting into the exercise. I want to say that these 16th notes, they're going to give you guys a lot of trouble. They're probably going to be, I'm assuming, too fast when we play them at first. What you guys need to be thinking of while playing these is that 16th notes are really just 8th notes with an added extra note there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is basically the same as 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a on the right hand, because 1 and 2 and it's the same thing. So when you're going through those 16th notes, you should be thinking of the left hand and keeping it up at the same height as your right hand, but you can still be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just displacing the left hand with that. 1, 2, 3. Right?